Hey guys, before we begin today's episode, we want to provide an important content warning. This episode contains discussion of suicide. If you or someone you know is struggling with thoughts of suicide, please know that help is available. You can reach the 988 Suicide and Crisis Lifeline by calling or texting 988, available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. You can also chat online at 988lifeline.org. If you're not in the U.S., you can find international crisis resources at findahelpline.com. We encourage listeners to prioritize their mental health and well-being. If this topic may be difficult for you, please consider whether this is the right time to listen, and know that you can return to this episode when you feel ready.
And then I started Ubering, and God and I had a long talk, guys. I mean, I needed to lose my identity to find myself.
Nashville native and media personality Joe Dubin seemed to have it all. He was a 3-time Emmy winner and worked in the Nashville media market for over 20 years. He was the brains behind the legendary Big Joe on the Go series on local TV in Middle Tennessee, where he didn't just report stories, he celebrated people. He was known and loved and was Nashville's media darling. He was everywhere, and he was someone. Until one day he wasn't.
It culminated on October 24th, 25th of 2022. I was done. I thought about killing myself every single day. And I said, all right, I'm broke. My relationships are terrible. My life is terrible. I don't know what I'm doing. I've lost who I was. And I thought for 6 months, I thought about killing myself. And that's all it dominated every thought.
Luckily for us and for the world, he had moments that snapped him out of it. To him and to me, they were God moments, little snippets of energy and circumstance that were instigated by others and aligned him with what he could be and what he should be. He'll walk us through his journey and how he feels like he should spread the word and the idea that we can experience monumental things if we just get off the couch and try, that we're all worth it. Currently, Big Joe is thriving. He is a co-host of the Chase and Big Joe show on 102.5 The Game in Nashville with Chase McCabe. He helps anchor Fox 17's high school football coverage in the fall. He writes a weekly column for Main Street Media in the Middle Tennessee area and is the author of 5 books, with 2 more on the way. Never shy about talking about the hard stuff, he is also a motivational speaker that spreads his message of positivity and worthiness to audiences everywhere. And after 25 years, he still is Nashville's media darling. But here's what's different. His identity isn't in the work anymore. It's not about the accolades or the recognition. It's about the message. Because Big Joe knows something now that he didn't know before. We are all worth it. Every single one of us, even in our darkest hour, especially then.
I just want to get that message across to everybody. It's like, you are so powerful. You are so powerful, and know this. And I say, God's given you the blueprint to succeed, and it's you.
This is the true story of 2 washed-up sports guys who chased the dream, private flights, championship rings, running sideline to sideline on per diem and adrenaline.
We gave our 20s and our 30s to the industry, pulled off miracles that were never in the job description. In return, low pay, long hours, and we still got cut from the team.
This is about what really happens behind the badge, the burnout, the bad bosses, the dream job that didn't love you back, but also the lifelong friendships, the chaos, the holy shit stories you couldn't make up. And somehow, despite everything, you'd still do parts of it all over again.
This is one for the ones who lived it, loved it, hated it, and still kind of miss it. For everyone who's ever asked, how in the hell did we survive that? We're 2 former sports insiders with more than 40 years of experience and more than enough scars to make fun of it all.
And just enough trauma to start a podcast instead of going to therapy.
I'm Brandon Barca.
And I'm Andy Boggs.
And this is No Longer Credentialed. We once had access, now we have opinions.
I want to get this started with kind of more of a Nashville slant, and sorry to our non-Nashville listeners, but many claim to have been there. But I know for a fact that the three of us were definitely in attendance for one of the greatest moments in Vanderbilt sports history in March of 2008, the Shane Foster senior night game. So what are your thoughts about that game when someone mentions it to you?
It's very hard to put in words because it's almost like it didn't exist, because I have never seen a player in that zone in my life. I'm talking football, basketball, nothing. No, I mean, it was amazing. And what's funny is that same day, the Titans had re-signed Javon Curse. So that was the big story for us. Javon Curse, like, Vanderbilt senior, I go cover that, nobody cares, whatever.
Right.
So I'll never forget that. So when I think of Shane Foster, I always think of Javon Curse, because Curse had a press conference that day that everybody's all giddy about. And I remember talking to the media, like, it's senior night at Vanderbilt. Yeah, we'll get over there and cover that. And then you realize early on what's going on. And I'm telling you, man, I can't remember the last time I was at a basketball game where everybody stood and everybody was standing, and, I'm lazy. I'm like, sit down. I'm not going to stand this whole game. And it was amazing. Guys, the fact that he never made it in the NBA after watching what he did that night still baffles me.
Yeah, it's really strange. The players that we've seen have been so good, and they just can't really get a sniff.
Right.
And it's so hard to make it. So I kind of wanted to piggyback off that. I mean, you've seen a lot of things in this market. Is that a top 5 sports moment for you in this market?
Got to be, yeah, because it's an individual thing. I mean, everybody defaults to the Music City Miracle, but people forget that before that, when the Bills made the field goal, Titans fans were booing the Titans. I was on the field. I'll never forget. They were booing them. And I remember the kickoff happened, and so I was with the reporter, and I was a cameraman at the time, and she said, hey, let's get reaction about how people are upset. So there's a picture. You got all the photographers are on the field shooting on the field, and I'm shooting fans in the stands because they're disgusted. They're throwing their hats. And then I hear the roar. I'm like, what? And then I turn around, and it goes. Anyway, everybody defaults to that one. That's a top one. This might not make the list, but when Kurt Busch smashed the guitar at the Super Speedway, I was like, I remember looking like, God, that's I don't know how to play guitar. I'm like, that's really nice. And he takes it and slams it. I'm like, what did I just witness? So it's not really it was athletic because he's able to break it in like 2 smashes. That was kind of cool. So that stands out to me on one of those moments that goes on. And I hate to go back to the Titans of moments that go on, this or that. Vince Young throwing the shoulder pads in the stands was really great. That was a fantastic moment, because very rarely do you see a professional athlete melt down and live on a game, and he melted down. So that's another one. I'll never forget Mike Fisher, the Predators, scoring the goal in Dover. A double overtime was like 2 o'clock in the morning because they started the late game that night, and he scored. I'll never forget that, because I think that put them into the Division Cup final, not the Stanley Cup Finals the year before. That was a moment that was amazing. Vanderbilt, when Tennessee was ranked number 1 on that Tuesday night and it snowed.
Woo! Oh my gosh.
That was a great moment, because Vol fans were losing their mind. We're number 1 because Memphis had just lost and they were now number 1, and it was pouring snow. And watching people walk out of Memorial Gym slipping and sliding down the steps was really good. But there might not be like on the field moments. There were moments to me that I'll never forget. I'm sure there's like 4 or 5 more that go along with those, but those are the ones that really stand out to me.
You're talking about Mike Fisher. I don't remember him. Was he Carrie Underwood's husband?
He is a guy. He's not a good looking guy. Doesn't have a lot of talent. And I'm not sure what happened to that guy. He's a one and done kind of guy. Came to town and I'm not sure there's a better looking man on the planet than Mike Fisher.
As a visual storyteller in those moments, I mean, you got to be locked in because you don't know where it's going visually. But you got to be pretty skilled at what you're doing in that moment to capture it properly. All of these moments you mentioned.
Well, the good thing is the Preds game, hockey game, you can't shoot that game because it's on it. So have you ever tried shooting a hockey game? And I don't think the NHL lets you shoot hockey games because you got to follow. So that's
but as far as like
good.
Titans and Vanderbilt and all these other moments you mentioned.
Right. So you always find you get lucky. I mean, you get really lucky. My thing is always what led up to that. I always like to know the play call, or what did you see before that? What made you do that? What were you thinking when the ball was coming down? I mean, basketball, you got 8 seconds to go. Did you call a timeout? Did you not call a timeout? What were you thinking about? Why'd you shoot? Who was open? What was going on? I always like the lead up because I see the after effects. You make the shot, it goes crazy. It was great, you know. But what got you to that moment? That was always my big thing, is what got you to that moment to make the shot or make the tackle or something along those lines. So for me, it was always that way. A lot of people just really do the highlights, and that's what hairs up. You know, Shane Foster made a shot, and he scored 1 million points ball game, and Shane, I had a really good game tonight. But I know it was senior night, but what led up to that? What were you looking at? What was happening? What was Mississippi State giving you that at? What were you seeing? To me, that's the story. Highlights are boring and dull. Mm-hmm. What's the story is how did he get to that moment?
Plus, it could also be the reaction. I mean, you guys were there with his family when he hit the shot. I mean, he goes over. I've watched the video a million times. Like, I think Vanderbilt's pulled the video, but when it used to be up there, I used to watch it all the time. And you guys are following him around the court, and he's hugging his family. And, like, I mean, that's what you probably remember most. It's
what's
the
funny
reaction.
Is that, what stands out to me, a moment in Vanderbilt basketball history was, I know the Georgetown loss in 07 up in East Rutherford. I'll never forget talking, is it Ted Scooches? Was that his name?
Mm-hmm.
Scooch.
Yep.
Who played his tail off. I mean, all year long, he'd been yelled at by Stallings. But that night, I don't remember what his stats were. I don't know if he scored a point, but he was a force. He was just there on the court making things happen. And after the game, he gave everything to Vanderbilt. Mm-hmm. And Stallings came up and hugged him. And it was really a special moment, and it was outside because we weren't allowed in the locker, but outside the locker room. And I'll never forget that. I remember asking Scooch, it was like, hey, you're not counted on to this, this, and this, but tonight you did this, this, and this. And he talked about the hug. He's like, when Coach came up to me and appreciated me for everything I've done, you could tell it was genuine. That's a moment. This guy that, he's an afterthought. But for that one moment, that hug and that game, man, he was a superstar. Those are moments I love. I love, because I don't think we uttered his name at all that year, maybe twice or 3 times. But that night, man, was something special. See a guy on that stage go to that level, and then the coach afterwards just give him a big hug.
You've covered teams here now for 30-plus years, multiple TV stations, radio stations. You've done it all. When you're talking about covering a team, has that access, do you feel like it's changed since the 90s to now and being able to tell those stories?
Because of social media. Everybody's afraid. Where are you going to post? The Titans have a thing now, used to have during training camp, where you could go in the locker room and talk to and find those, the 8th round guy who's, got no legs, who might make the team. That's a great story. But now they stopped that. You can't. So I'd have this unique perspective to get this athlete who's battling all the odds to make there. Now you can't do that. So now I've got to interview him in front of 5 other people and who are going to steal my story, because it always happens. It always happens. So locker room access is different. Talking to players is different. It's not what we used to say is, I got to go to the side and talk to him. It's not, man. I mean, practice, you shoot 10 minutes and you're done. Who do you want to talk to? And the PR guy's right there listening to you and wrapping you up after a couple of questions. And used to have you built relationship. I don't want to be friends with any athletes that I cover. Nope. I like to have a good relationship. Like, hey, you want a story to tell? I'm not here to bust your balls. I don't do that. I want to hear your story, what's going on. That's all gone because they're so afraid what gets on social media could make them look bad that you can't do anything anymore. That's a large part of why I stepped away from televisions, because I can't get that. That access is not there. What's funny, the access has always been there, and even more so now, these people are grateful. High school football games and coaches.
Yeah.
They are. I got to cover a game tonight out in Page. They're like, what do you need? What time you be here? Do you need food? What access do you need? What's going on? Yeah. And I'm like, well, yeah. But it's every high school I go to in Middle Tennessee, they welcome you. That's how it used to be covering the NFL. Preds do a good job. I'll put that to the side. But like colleges and everything, it's really great. Now that access is all gone. Because I really believe they're scared what an athlete's going to say, put on social media, get blasted out, and then boom, you got bulletin board material. But I think it's because they can't control the message when you do that. It's all about control now, all about control and everything that goes on. So social media has spun everything in such a different direction that we never saw coming.
Yeah, we'll step into the social media realm in a little bit, because I think you are awesome at social media. But I kind of wanted to focus our story a little bit back on your origin story. You're from Nashville. You're Nashville's media darling. You've been that way for 25 years.
Damn
How
right.
did you get? How did you get here? And did you know this is what you wanted to do?
I grew up here. I went to college, played football at Stanford University, and I came back, and I was a disaster in college. I mean, Terry Bowden absolutely hated me. Our quarterback on our team was Jimbo Fisher. This was Stanford back in the late 80s.
Mm-hmm.
But we had fun, though. I had a good time. Stanford asked me to never mention them again at any time I talked to anybody, but I'm telling you, while I was there, I was the best, worst student they ever had. So I got out and I came back to Nashville as a bartender for a couple of years, doing well, having a good time. But I always wanted to get back into the media world because I knew friends that worked in media. So I went to MTSU. I was going to get my degree in double major history and history and God, I forget the other double major in something. I was going to be a coach, high school football coach. And
Okay.
so I was going to double major in history and journalism. That's what it was. And I had to intern at Channel 2. And I interned, and one of the first times I went by there was the Oklahoma City bombing. And just seeing how everybody had a job to do that day of covering, reaction, editing video, put it on the air, breaking news. I was like, man, it's an unfortunate day, but people need to be informed, and I want to be a part of this. So you would intern, you'd go out with people with work, and one guy said, reporter, I'll never forget, Jason Whiteley said, I want you to know that we have, in news, this is back in the mid-90s, we have the front seat to life. Never forget that. I'm like, man. And the one thing I did not want to do was do a corporate job, 8 to 4. I was like, I'm not doing that. Because my mother worked that job, and raised by a single mom. She's my hero, the best person ever. And it tore her down, man. I'd see her come home and be exhausted. And that exhaustion was taking care of me. I was like, man, I can't, I'm not going to let this happen. So I went to middle. I took 67 hours in a year and I graduated and I got a job at Channel 2. I was a cameraman. My first job there, I was an editor, making $6 an hour editing the noon show. But what I had is I had a foot in the door. So if I want to cover high school football, I'm already on the payroll. Here's a camera. Here are your car keys. Go cover again. And I love high school football. So I did that and I'm like, this is good. I like this. And then they came to me later on, and I got it raised to $8 an hour. Yay, me. And I was working at a healthcare company in Franklin. So I do Channel 2 from 8 to 1. I work at a healthcare company in Franklin, inputting data entry from 2 to midnight, Monday through Friday. And the good news was my boss at the healthcare company loved sports. He played basketball or baseball, allegedly, at Oklahoma State. Allegedly. I could never find any record of him playing anything. But all we did was talk sports. So I didn't do anything except talk sports all day to this guy, which was really good. Praise God, I did no work. Anyway, long story short, led to another. I was at Channel 2, and I wanted to be I wanted to do sports. And by that time, you had Dwyer and Tom Oates and John Bork. Then they left. You had Sarah Walsh come to town and Corey Curtis. And so I wasn't getting anywhere there. So I looked elsewhere to get out. And I did a resume tape, and I sent about 60 resume tapes out, and I got back zero response. I'm like, all right. So I'm going to double down on this. So, the old Einstein quote, you keep doing the same thing over and over again, expect a different result, you're insane. So I redid my resume tape, and I made it fun, like a murder mystery kind of thing for resume tape. I sent out 8 of those, and I got 6 job offers.
Wow.
I'm doing the same thing, but different. And the most money that I got in was from Bowling Green, Kentucky. I had a job offer from Tampa, Dallas, Phoenix, to go out and be like a number 3, which is fine. But Bowling Green, Kentucky offered me by far the most money to be their sports director. So I was like, okay. So I went and told my general manager who loved me, I said, hey, I'm going to go up to Bowling Green. He's like, oh, you can't leave? I'm like, I told you, Mike, I wanted to be a sports editor. I want to do sports. I want to have fun. He goes, well, I got nothing for you here. I said, all right. So I'm leaving his office to tell him thank you. And the next week I'm moving to Bowling Green. And I said, Mike, when you leave television, somebody's going to ask you one day, they're going to ask you all the great things that you did, but somebody's going to say, what's the one thing you regret? And Mike, you're going to tell them, I let Joe Dubin walk out of my office. And I'm telling you guys, I had no idea I was going to say that. And he just sat there and looked up at me. And I said, thanks for everything. 20 minutes later, if you remember Channel 2, there was a Sonic across the street. So I went, ate Sonic. I come back in the back of the parking lot. And I'm telling him I'm going to Bowling Green to sign my contract, which is not till the next day. 20 minutes later, he calls me and says, I got a job for you here. And
wow.
He's not a sports job, but you can go out and be the fun guy around town. I'm like, all right. He goes, we're going to start in a couple of months. I said, no, we'll start it Monday. No, we don't have time. We'll start it Monday. In fact, I'd like to start it tomorrow. He said, well, you can't. I said, we'll compromise. We'll do it Monday. I directed my life. I was not going to let him tell me when we started, when we go, because I was going to Bowling Green. I'm winning in this. He's like, all right, you start Monday. And that's how the Big Joe and the Go start. I just went around town, find events that were going on, real people who were raw. I had no TV experience. And he gave me 90 days. He goes, you get 9. I said, all right, 90 days. I said, I'll prove you. I said, within 2 weeks, we'll sit down and talk again. After the 4th day, he calls me to his office and gives me a 3-year contract. And I'm telling you, I tell people all the time, be ready for the opportunity. Always be ready for the opportunity because it's going to happen. And it happened. And that's how the Big Joe and the Go started, when everywhere is a lot of fun. Fast forward till July of 2006, John Dwyer went to News, Corey Curtis went to Virginia, and Sarah Walsh went to Washington, D.C. They had nobody. So the GM calls me and says, hey, I need you to do weekend sports for me. I'm like, man, I don't want to do that. I'm like where I'm going now because I'm doing the fun stories and entertainment, being stupid. It's just a lot of fun. He's like, here's what I'll give you this weekend to freelance, basically. I'm like, oh, okay, I'll do it. And it was the weekend of the World Cup in July of 2000. And the United States was playing a country, and I hate to admit this, I'd never heard of. I'd never heard of this country. So my sportscast was on a weekend showing USA, they won the game, but then showing the highlights from this country that I found on the internet, made some video. I forget what country it was. I'd never heard of it. And I said, hey, if you're interested in going to the country we just beat, here's a few things for you. It was terrible. It was a terrible sportscast. He calls me afterwards. And I pick up the phone. He says, that was the greatest sportscast I've ever seen. I laughed nonstop. I was like, I didn't know what I was doing, but whatever. He's like, I want you to be my sports director. I said, I can't do it because the sports director, all you're going to do is yell at me. I'm not doing that. He goes, how about if I pay you this? You're not sports director. And I'm like, I basically doubled my salary. I'm like, all right, I'll do this. And that's how I got into sports, and it took off. So when I go and I had a speaking engagement last night, and I go and talk to people about opportunities. It's like, I'm telling you, I pray to God every night before I go to bed, opportunities for things, not things that I want, but things that he gives me things that I need. And I'm telling you, man, it changed my life around. And the opportunity came, and that took off in sports. Funny, he was a general manager, but the news director is like your immediate boss. In my entire television career, I never had a boss that liked me. They all tried to fire. I'm not kidding you. They all tried to fire me. And I would not let them determine my future. I was not going to let them do it. And so I just rolled that all the way through to where we are now. And finally, I got a boss at the radio station who likes me, and things are good. Thank God.
How did you, one, come to that mindset to first stand up for yourself and your own value, but two, just tap into your authenticity? I mean, was that just like a light bulb moment? Because everything you've created after really plays into your personality. And sometimes when you're in these news stations, you're trying to fit this tired, old, stale model.
How many times have you seen somebody get fired, they'll come to you or let go and like, I should have told him this, or I wish I'd have told him that. Well, I wasn't going to get to that moment. I'm going to tell you now what it is. And the only person going to determine my future is me. So the only person going to say I can be stopped is myself. So I didn't change. I didn't compromise anything with any of them because I knew what I was doing was raw and organic. And they always try to fit into a bubble with your voice, with your look. I never wore makeup. I mean, I was like, you got to wear HD makeup. I'm not doing that. I'm not wearing makeup. I don't do that. I'm not going to do that. I mean, that's the part of this that I think that appealed to a lot of people is the fact that I'm no better than you dudes. I mean, we're like sitting in the bar right now at Corner Pub talking about sports. That's me. I just got lucky. But it all comes back to me not wanting to work a corporate job. And we'll get to that in a minute. That's another story. But I didn't want to work 8 to 5 because, again, I saw what it did to my mom. And I wanted to be happy in my life and do a job that had an impact somehow, some way. And it did. So the mindset was never change. Never compromise who you are. I mean, I'm not handsome. I don't have the best voice. but I'm going to outwork you every single time. And I'll be more creative than you are every single time. And it's the whole persistence thing. Just keep showing up, man. It's funny. I wrote about this. It's in my book too. When I first got on air at Channel 2, there was a guy who would there's several email every day. Why is this guy on the air talking about me? I mean, it was brutal. Like 3 or 4 different people every day emailing me. So finally I went to Neil Lauren. I said, Neil, I said, I'm either going to do one or two things. I'm going to cry. I'm going to go find these people and whip their ass. I mean, I am this upset. And Neil's like, here's what you do. Just keep showing up. Because if they keep seeing you on TV, they know they can't beat you. They know they're not getting to you. So keep showing up. Sure enough, within probably 2 weeks, never got another email again. So just keep showing up and doing your job. And it all goes back to believing in yourself and who you are. I'm not turning this into a TED Talk, but it truly is. I mean, you have a gift. God's given you a great blueprint of life, and it's you. And know your value and your worth and how good you are, and do that, and you can do anything. I mean, all those bosses came and went. They all got fired, and I'm still standing here. I mean, and it's just amazing the fact so when people are like, I wish I'd have told them that. I did tell them that before they got to me. Well, I'm going to let it happen. And knowing that if you let me go, it's the biggest mistake you ever had. So although they hated me, I think they respected me, and that's fine. And then once the awards start rolling in, they're like, that's my guy. I knew you had it in you. I'm like, you had no idea nothing with me. So it felt good to do that knowing, but I wasn't trying to win. I wasn't trying to beat them. I was just trying to be happy. And in the end, that's all that mattered.
And I think that's one of the reasons why we wanted to have you on, because I think us in the sports industry, on the other side, you were on the media side, we were on the, I don't know, school side, university side, that, we're kind of afraid to carve our own path, right? And it seemed to me this is something that this has never been a problem for you. And I just kind of wanted to get at that. Like, what is that? What is that in you that you decided, like, I'm not gonna do that? Like,
no, you're right. I grew up, I didn't have a lot of money growing up. Me and my mom had a 1-bedroom apartment. And so it wasn't like I had a lot of material things. All I had was personality. And I learned early on that personality and hard work opens every single door. I'm telling you, it opens every single door. So I had to find my personality. And when I did, I wasn't going to change or be, now, in my personal life, I've made a lot of dumb mistakes. A lot. And I ask God for forgiveness every day on those things. And maybe one day I'll get those. But professionally, I just knew that personality and the drive, they win every single time. And I see people would go in, be defeated, had bad days. You have to put that aside, man. And I think I had to deal with the good Lord of like, all right, let's do this. You put me on this path. Hold my hand. Let's go. And I never stopped doing what I wanted to do. And I think people, you got a type A personality. And I just think people are born with what you got, I mean, and I don't care what type A personality. I'd like to see people laugh. I like to see people happy. There's enough going on. Like I said, I go back to, when my mom would come home and just be so exhausted from work, crappy bosses. I'll never forget, this is why I don't drive a Ford. Our car broke down. We had to go get a used Ford. And I lived in Nashville. We moved to Hawaii, and then I moved back to Nashville. And I think I was in 8th or 9th grade. I'll never forget the used car salesman talking to the other manager. It was a dealership in Madison. I don't give a damn if they watch this or not. And he said, hey, I got this lady here, doesn't know what she's doing. So I'm going to jack her credit card or finance up high. They really need a car. And I'm hearing this. And I'm like, you son of a bitch. And I'm telling you guys, that is vivid in my mind as is right now. This man taking advantage of my mom. And I told her and we got out of there. But how much has that happened doing the world? And so, not to spin off your question,
sure,
it was something like, I want other people to know that they're powerful. And I tell them every day, you are powerful. Don't let people take advantage of you. And this asshole, you can edit that, Brandon. This asshole was taking advantage of my mom, who to me was my everything. When she passed away, I told her, I said, my whole life I had trouble telling you and God apart. That's how special she was. Here's this guy taking advantage of my mom. And I knew that I was never going to stop, never going to quit and carve my path. And you're not standing in my way. And if you're in my way, I'm going to run you over. And that's what I did.
We could all say we've been knocked down in life, right? I mean,
Yeah.
Boggs and I have lost jobs. Times have been at the lowest of low. I mean, I've had a tough last couple of years, but if we're going to do movie quotes, the cliche Rocky quote, it ain't about how hard you get hit, but it's about how hard you get hit and keep moving forward. And not blowing smoke up your ass, but I'm inspired by what you're saying today, and you're helping a lot of people right now in this phase of your life. And I'm just inspired by how you keep moving forward. You're not going to let that bump in the road define you.
Thank you. I mean, that means a lot from you. Thank you. I got on a TV. I had a rough spot a couple of years ago. I lost my identity. COVID really did a number on me mentally working in there, because I had a boss that was really, really, really awful. And I'm like, and my contract came up in July of 21, and like, we'll give you another year. We want you to stick around. I'm like, I'm not sticking around with this guy here, because I would come back with COVID. Me and Justin Beasley, I will put what we did during COVID up against anybody on planet Earth. We went out and told positive, engaging, inspirational stories. And my boss came in one day and said, what's your plan for today? I said, hey, I got this great story of this neighborhood that they're doing a bake sale because their neighbor is about to lose their house because he doesn't have a job. And they're raising all this money in the bake sale. And he's like, yeah, nobody cares. Nobody cares about the good stories. They want to see how it's affected them and the death. And I'm like, I can't do this. That's your mindset in television now? Get the hell out. So I got out, and then I had a job at a media company. Wasn't what I wanted. And then I started Ubering. And God and I had a long talk, guys. I mean, I needed to lose my identity to find myself. And I was Ubering. I was working for these destination travel companies coming in. And it culminated on October 24th, 25th of 2022. I was done. I thought about killing myself every single day. And I said, all right, I'm broke. My relationships are terrible. My life is terrible. I don't know what I'm doing. I've lost who I was. And I thought for 6 months, I thought about killing myself. And that's all it dominated every thought. But there would always be like, all right, November the 9th, I'm going to do it. There's a tree. I'm telling you, there's a tree 2 miles from my house. And I know where rope is. And I could do this. I don't want to leave a mess. And, but every time I would do this, God would say, all right, before you do this, let's do this today. We're going to do this today. And I'm telling you, the miracles he gave me were amazing. And so it got bad. I was fighting through this. I was like, okay, it got a little bit better, but I was still lost. Then I got a job in the corporate world. And going to that 8 to 5, here we go back to 8 to 5. And it was, nobody knew who I was. Nobody cared who I was. I had no identity. I had no cachet. I'm 54 years old. I'm like, nobody knows me. And so it came to a point in late June of 23. I'd gotten a little bit better, but I was still massive. I lost 65 pounds. That's how depressed I was. And I sat down at the parking garage at the business in Cool Springs. And I said, all right, 2 weeks. I said, God, we got 2 weeks or I'm done. This is it. I know the means. I know where the gun is. I am done. I can't do this. But you've carried me through this 2 weeks. I promise you, I still got it saved on my phone. 2 days later, I get a phone call at work. It was at 11:30. And it was Chip Walters from MTSU. Chip says, hey, our color guy, he's not going to do it next year. And, I'm going to keep having fun. I want you to do it. I'm like, will I do it? I'll come right now and do it in mid-June. He's like, all right, you're in, you're good, we're good to go, you got it. And all that. I'm like, all right. I said, God, I hear you. Incredible. I hear you. 2 days after that, I'm not kidding you. Chase McCabe calls from 102.5 The Game and says, hey, my co-host just quit. And I'm doing 9 to 11. It's not a lot of money, but I'd love to have you. I know you're doing really well where you are now. And I'm not going to name the company, but there's a great company. I was the worst employee. And he goes, but I'd love to have you think about it. And I went back to the parking lot where I was going to do it. And I'm very open about it because I think we need to be open about what we went through because it can help others. And I said, all right, you win. You win. Yeah. I'm not fighting. I'm not fighting your plan. You win. And that's it. I mean, I took $110,000 a year pay cut. Haven't missed a penny. Haven't missed a penny. You know why? Because I'll figure it out. We've always figured it out, and I haven't missed a penny. So I lost my identity to find myself. I got a deeper relationship with Jesus. I mean, it's really powerful to me every single day. I see the works that he does in my life and others that there's only one way I can explain that, and it's that it's him. And then my life turned around and I was like, all right, I went through hell where I thought about it every day. And now my mission now is to help you. And during this, I've had 12 friends who have committed suicide since July of 22.
Oh my gosh.
All men over 45. And it's heartbreaking. I mean, some I talked to 2 days before, and I found out that they've taken their lives. And I am telling you, man, I've been there, and I know what they're going through. I want to get you there to where that moment where you're going to do it. And I want to say, no. Let's back up a little bit, 'cause that's where I was, and not do it. And I tell all the time, talking to somebody saved my life. I mean, it did really save my life talking. So my best friend is the head football coach at Eastern Kentucky. And one day during all this, when I was really, really bad, he called me out of the blue. We talked for 8 hours. When's the last time two men in their mid-50s talked for 8 hours on the phone? It doesn't happen. So he called me and we talked. And it was great. At that moment, I needed him more than he'll ever know. And so when we got back, I got my head straight. And I said, all right, I'm on a mission now to help others. And I'm telling you guys, the amount of men who have reached out to me in the last 2 years is overwhelming. And one guy, I still write for the newspaper. We're in like 15 different newspapers a week. And I got a lot of people write me that way. One guy said, well, you opened this whole can of worms now, and you got all these people emailing you and calling you. And I said, good, let's triple it, quadruple it. Yeah. I don't care. It's nothing to me. I want people to reach out. And you get them into therapy. I'm like, I don't need to know what you talked about. I don't need to know where you're going. I just need to know that you went. And I'm telling you, once you go, I still go to therapy. Once you go and talk to somebody, it changes everything. You know, we're big, badass men. Nobody's going to get to me. Yeah, we're the ones who fall first. We're the ones who fall the hardest. We're the ones who fall the quickest. And you just got to talk to somebody. So I thank God for this journey that I'm on. I thank him every day for grace, love, and forgiveness. Lord knows I need all that. And I just want to share the love, man. And it takes no time at all to do that. And I was grateful last night. I got to share the message last night. I got to share it a week ago. I mean, I get asked to speak these places all the time, and it's great. I'm so humbled to do that. And it's a matter of letting people know. Bottom line is like, here's this guy. He's got all the words, all these awards. And he's nice, and he's everything going for him. I was a finger pull away from ending my life. And I want you to know that there is so much help out there and love out there that you shouldn't do that. And I've seen the collateral damage of what's happened with social when you take your life. I've seen it with families, and you don't want that. If men could just see what happens after that, the generational effect of that, they wouldn't do it. So, and I'll tell you, I don't mean to go down this path, but it's part of my journey now that I want to share. I had a guy call the radio station and said, you're wasting your time. He's just wasting your time doing that because you can't save them all. So I gave him the starfish story. I don't know if you guys ever heard the starfish story. This little kid walked on the beach, and all these starfish have washed up on the beach. He's picking them up, throwing them back in the ocean, picking them up. And this guy walks up and says, hey, man, what are you doing? You can't save them all. He picks up another starfish, throws it in the ocean, and says, oops, just saved another one. So can't save them all, but we could damn sure try. And so that's the mission I'm on now. And I'm grateful for the journey. I'm grateful for the platforms on social media and let people know out there. And I still have fun. I still raise hell. Don't get me wrong. I still have a good time. But now I know. I know what gratitude is. I knew the word before, but I didn't know the word. I had no idea what gratitude meant. But when you go through hell and you go through the fire, you understand what's important and what's not important in your world. Bitching and moaning, and a driver cuts me off and literally wanted to pull him over and whip his ass. It's not important anymore. It's not important anymore. You emailing me and calling me and say, hey, man, I started going to therapy. You have no idea. That's like me winning the Powerball. You have no excitement because I know your family's going to be good. And that to me is the best thing ever. So that's the journey I'm on now, along with the sports and the writing and all that, which I'm truly, truly grateful for every second of this.
First of all, thank you for sharing your story. I'm happy you're here with us today. You're doing a lot of amazing work. You're writing books now and you're doing Sunday motivational videos, and you've really channeled this energy in this phase of your life, to helping others. And I'm glad you're here.
Thank you. Yeah. I mean, it was, I look back now, it's like, oh man, what it all brought it home is that, I'm a grandpa now, which is amazing. My daughter gave
Congratulations.
birth. Thank you. On October the 23rd, 2024, October the 23rd, 2022 was when it first hit me that I'm going to kill myself. And 2 years later, I'm in the hospital, and I was overwhelmed. I mean, and I remember one of the nurses, I was just bawling. I was out in the hallway. I was holding my granddaughter, and she's like, "Oh my God, are you okay?" I'm like, "Oh, I'm more than okay. I am more than okay." And to see that moment, my granddaughter overwhelmed, knowing that I wasn't going to be there for that, I mean, that's why I tell people, you have so much to live for. And I did 3 years ago, I didn't know there'd be a granddaughter. Then 2 years from my moment, I'm holding her, and it was amazing. It wasn't emotional. It was overwhelming because I'm seeing my grandpa, my mom, and now my daughter has a baby. I mean, it was so amazing to see that.
It's crazy.
So I tell people, stick around, man. God ain't done yet. He's not done with you yet. And you'll hit a wall. I mean, I hit many walls. I mean, do you think I liked Ubering? Do you think I liked Ubering and getting yelled at? And, people stealing stuff out of the back of my car? No. But I had to go through that fire. I had to be humbled. I had to realize that, hey, Billy Badass, you're not special. You're not anything different. And going through all that, man, I put my feet on the ground every morning and say, all right, Lord, another day. Here we go. It's funny, I had somebody just last week says, do you ever sleep? And I'm like, 5 or 6 hours here and there. It's like, well, you're always going somewhere, doing something. And I go back, boys, to my mom. If I sat on my ass 10, 12 hours and did nothing, even though she's been gone 15 years, that is such a disrespect to her memory and what she instilled in me every single day, to sit on my ass and not do anything. And I tell you, how many times I have failed doing this? 80% of the time. Hey, yeah, I talk about writing. 98% of the things that I write are, I am telling you, absolutely awful. 98%. But that 2%, gold. The 20% I don't fail, perfect. Heaven. So fail often. Do that. I tell, we did stand-up comedy in Key West the other night. You know how many people, it was an open mic, me and Chase McCabe and our producer. Do you know how many people were at the Comedy Key West Club and we did open mic? Take a guess.
10.
5.
Guess. 4. 4 people. So take the chance and go. If nobody's going to show up, I don't care. It was a wonderful night. We learned so much about what not to do and what to do. Take the chances. Go and fail. I'm going to tell you a quick Jim Carrey story, which I tell all the time. Jim Carrey's dad in the 70s was one of the best trumpet players in all of Canada. He tells his story. Of course, it's his story. He tells it better than I do. And so, like the Johnny Carson of Canada wanted him to move to Toronto and be in the band. But his dad's like, well, I got to uproot my family and 4 kids, and it's not really worth it. But his dream was to be a trumpet player on that show. So he turned his dream down. And he was an accountant. A year later, he loses a job as an accountant. Then he becomes a janitor. They become homeless. And Jim Carrey says, my father failed at something he didn't want to do. Never compromise your dream. He could have moved to New York City and failed, but he's pursuing his dream. And chances are you're not going to fail when you do this. Your dream is not going to fail if you go after it. Sure, there'll be bump in the roads here and there and all that goes on, but don't compromise your dream. Eddie Murphy's got a great line. They ask Eddie Murphy, if you didn't make it stand-up comedy, what was your fallback plan? He's like, what? Like, if you didn't make it in comedy, what was your fallback plan? He goes, I didn't have one. Like, well, what do you mean you didn't have a fallback plan? He goes, why? If you get yourself a fallback plan, that means half your mind's thinking, well, if I don't make it, I got this. He goes, there was never in my mind a doubt I would not make it. And that's what we need to think about all the time in doing things. Failure is fine as long as you're pursuing your dream. Don't fail at something you don't want to do. We do it all the time. So fail at your dream because you can do this. And it blows my mind when people are like, I don't want to do that. That's too hard. I'm not going to do that. There was a guy last week. I said, what's your dream? He goes, well, it was to do play-by-play. I'm like, what do you mean was? He's like, yeah, there's a lot of people in that field. I said, so you quit before you even started because there's a lot of people in that field, even though you might be the most talented of them all. Well, I didn't think about it like that. I said, because our default is already failure. Stop being default. Our default should be, hell yeah, I'm going to succeed. It always should be that. It drives me crazy today when the youth are like, well, that's a lot of work. I'm not sure. Because you will. Right. I've seen it. If you stick with it, you succeed. It works every time. And I just want to get that message across to everybody. It's like, you are so powerful. You are so powerful, and know this. And I say, God's given you the blueprint to succeed, and it's you. We're all unique. We're all different. And it's funny. I hear people all the time like, well, I'm a stand-up comedian. Well, why aren't you? Well, I don't know. I don't know. I'm like, just go do it. Just
do it.
Go
right.
do it, and that's it. Pretty simple.
I think too, it's like an instant gratification thing in society these days that things should happen overnight.
Right.
And you know what I mean? And I try to, we were kind of lucky, and you were lucky to see this too, how hard people work to get to a place. It doesn't happen overnight,
right.
And so cultivate that, work at it, just accept the fact. And I'd struggle with this. Accept the fact that it's not going to be right the first time, right? Just go do it. We started this podcast. We had no idea what the hell we were doing. We got 50 listeners. Nobody pays attention to us. But it's something we like to do. Maybe it leads to something down the line. I don't know. We're not perfect. But I think that's a message that we really need to be getting across to people, that it just does not happen overnight. Sometimes it takes really hard things for us to overcome to get to where we want to be. And that's a very important message.
Well, you got 50 listeners. You know how many you would have if you didn't do this?
We'd have 0. You're right. 100%. 100%.
And speaking of that, we want it now. I mean, we all know Nate Bargatze pretty well. And I can't tell me people like, well, I want to do that. I mean, look where he's at now. Do you know Nate's story about the drive? I mean, we're talking 12, 13, 14 years to get to this point. Maybe longer.
In empty Nashville clubs and, Mike nights.
Yes.
He's been grinding forever here.
All that. And the same goes for Jelly Roll. Well, I could do that. No. Did you go to prison? I mean, did you go through all this that went on? It takes a while. If it was so easy, everybody would do it and to get out there. And that's the thing. If you stick with it, you'll make it. I mean, Tom Brady at his retirement speech when they retired his jersey in New England was one of the best speeches. He's like, at the end of the day, I'm no better than you. All I did was keep showing up and working hard. And I'm like, he's right. How many people have quit and gotten off the path because, that's going to be difficult. And he did and got it done. So at the end, the lesson is you are powerful. You're wonderful. You're going to make a lot of mistakes. But my God, the end result is going to be more beautiful than you could possibly imagine.
Boggsy, I think we might actually have to Venmo Big Joe afterwards.
I think we may have to send you a
free
Venmo.
advice.
Yeah.
Might be the first Venmo we give on the show.
You know what's funny is that, Andy, when you reached out to me and said, hey, come on the pod, I was like, and I immediately went back, and it was a football moment at Vanderbilt. It was with Larry Leathers that has nothing to do with you. I'll never forget, Vandy lost a tough game, and I'm sitting there talking to Earl Bennett after the game, and it was in that little cramped locker room, and Earl was very emotional, great soundbite, was starting to get into it, and we were right by the door from the locker room to the media room. I'll never forget this. I don't know why this came to mind when you emailed me. I'll never forget, Earl's about to let it go, man, cry, and Larry comes busting again and says, hey, everybody, we got Chris Nixon right here. Chris is over here. Chris Nixon. He's only going to answer for a few times. Come on over here. And we went back, and you hear the video, right? And Earl Bennett's like, man, let me tell you this. Back. Larry, hey, come on, Chris Nixon over here. Come on. And it ruined what might have been one of the greatest interviews of all time. And we're like, Larry, he's like, well, who's over there? Who is that? I'm like, just forget it. And Earl Bennett left. He went back to the locker room and stopped. So I'll never forget that moment with Larry. I love Larry Leathers, but that moment, man, stands out forever in my mind. Come barging into the press room screaming like that.
So I'm really intrigued by the book writing process. Can you talk to us about your inspiration about, okay, I'm going to write a book, and then just the process of doing it. It's so intimidating.
No, it's not. So I've written 5 nonfiction, 2 fiction.
Yeah.
So I write every week for Main Street Media. They've got 15 newspapers. I've been writing a column a year for the last 6 years. So during my bad moment in my life, I was working for a travel company. I had to, there was a big IT healthcare convention in Nashville. And I had to get this guy from his hotel to the event and speak, kind of be like his PR guy to make sure he's going there. So I do it, and he's doing healthcare, and I'm telling you, he gave one of the worst speeches I've ever heard in my life. He got so bad that he left the stage. He sweated through 2 shirts. And so it became to me, I was like, I couldn't stop laughing. This guy was failing so bad on this level. And I asked a lady I said, the VP of the whole thing, I said, where the hell did you find him? I'm just curious. And she said, well, he wrote a book on this. I said, on IT healthcare. I'm like, really? But you didn't vet him to see how he was? She said, no, he wrote a book. You know, she says, if you write a book, it opens a lot of doors. And I was like, does it? Okay. So that night, I came back on my computer. I have every story saved. I'm like, I'm going to write a story about what it took me to get from A to B in the television world. The stories, the knockdown, the nose, you're dumb, you're fat, stupid, you don't look good, how you battled. I got all those stories. So I went in, put it in a book. I went to the Kindle. It took me 2 days to write it. I put everything together, and I realized Amazon doesn't go over and look for misspelled words, so you got to do that yourself. So I was like, I'm going to write a book. I'm going to write a book, and I'm going to write a book about overcoming being told no. And I'll never forget, in a college football game one time, I got blocked so bad, I got double teamed, and they blocked me off the field to the bench. It was that bad. So I'm running back to the field, and the linebacker says, hey, coach, we didn't have a nose tackle on that play. Can we get a nose tackle in? And I said, yeah, it was me, right? I was the guy. So they take me out of the game. And my coach says, what were you doing? I said, well, I stood up, at a peak in the backfield where the ball was, and they both drove me out. He's like, next time you know you're getting double teamed, fall down, just create some chaos.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, that's a great. So I'm telling you, I go back and get next play. They see me come back in. They run the same play. I feel the block. I fall down. Our linebacker hits the guy at the line. We created chaos. It's always been in my mind that creating chaos is a good thing in certain situations. So my first book was called Create the Chaos. Create so much great chaos in the world that they have to acknowledge you. You come upon a big building, door's not open, go around, go above, go through, whatever. We'll get obstacles all the time. So that was Create the Chaos. I had all the stories already written. I combined them, put them in there, submitted the book. It was the weekend that Pittsburgh played Tennessee in football. And it was the overtime game. Tennessee won. This is September of 22. Uploaded the book. I'm telling you, I'm sitting in my house drinking Coronas, watching football. Remember, I had no job at the time, just freelance and stuff. And then a day later, I get an email. Your book is ready to go. I'm like, what? What did I do? And then I'm telling you guys, when you see that, and I don't have a copy anywhere here, but when you see that it says Create the Chaos, and that's your book, and it's right there, it does something to you. So that book, I marketed it myself, and for some reason, it took off. It took off. So I wrote some other books. We've written 5. I mean, they've all done really, really well, and it's not intimidating. If my dumbass could do it, anybody could do it. I'm telling you. And to see it get number 1 on the Amazon list, I mean, it's just amazing for that to happen. And that book, Create the Chaos, and so that came out in September of 22. In February of 23, I get a phone call from a number from Massachusetts, and I picked it up and said, hey, this is so-and-so from the Harvard bookstore. I'm like, oh, I'm sure it is. Yeah, I thought it was a spam call, whatever. And she's like, is Joe Dubin there? I'm like, spam call, hang up on her. Calls back a minute later and says, I'm looking for Joe Dubin. I'm like, all right, why? Spam calls, they don't call back. And I said, this is Joe Dubin. She, oh, I'm so sorry. She said, I want to let you know that your book is for sale in the Harvard bookstore. And I was like, squeeze me? She said, we have your book. I'm like, how do you have my book? And they saw it at some book fair and liked it, and it's for sale in the bookstore. So I went and ordered it from Harvard bookstore, and it's in my office at work, and it came.
It's awesome.
My book, And I said, if they knew that I lived in Donaldson, Tennessee, they'd take that off the shelf. There's not a doubt in my mind. They would throw it away. But you do it. So that's it goes, Andy, it's what I'm talking about. It's not intimidating. It goes back to when you do something, great things can happen. You know, that whole line of like, good things come to those who wait. No, it doesn't. And
right.
Great things come to those who get off their ass. So I just did it. You know, I talked about it one time. You've talked about writing a book forever. So that's like one day, right? One day I'm going to do it. Flip those words around. One day becomes what? You flip the words around. What does that become?
Day one.
Day one.
Yeah.
Day one.
Yeah.
You're writing your book. Day one, writing my book. Day one. It sounds so good. And it took off, and we've written 5. So then those are non-fiction. I've written 2 fiction books. One is 68,000 words. Other one's 71,000 words that I'm actively trying to get out there. They're murder mysteries, drama. They're really fun, interesting crime novels. It's something out of my wheelhouse, but it was fun. And I just finished my 2nd fiction book. I've got to do a rewrite when we get off here in a little bit. Some things I get going on, but I did it. I mean, that's you have the same power I got. I just sat down and did it. Late nights, mornings, dominating. I tell you a great thing on your phone, the Notes app. I've got hundreds of Notes apps that I write down every day, I go back on. I just did it. And then so I'm really grateful that I took the opportunity to explore that world. Kindle makes it so easy, and it's out there. And now I have a tangible thing that I've been invited to speak to large groups, to businesses, to companies, to literary groups around Middle Tennessee and the South. I get invited to do this. You know, and you take your books and you sell them and you make money. I mean, I never did this to make money. I just said, I want to do this. But when you start hearing from people who've bought your book that you don't know and they leave reviews, and there's a few out there like, this is the worst book ever. That's fine. I'm not going to disagree with you on that. But the ones who do write and say, yeah, this is great. And I mean, it's just the words you get back. You know that it empowers people to realize, you know, I could do this. Let me be your inspiration that you can do this. I have no problem with that. I have no problem using me as a platform like, well, if this dumbass did it, I can do it. Hell yeah, you can. And then so the books are written. We got 5 now, 2 more. They're ready to go to print. I'm working on number 8. So good. I just sit down and do it. We talk about it all. Another example, and I'm taking your time, but I don't care. During COVID, I was bored. I'm like, you know what? I like to play guitar. So I went and bought a guitar, set in my garage. Now I can play about 60 songs on a guitar. I had no idea how to play before. Went to a YouTube app, learned how to play A Horse with No Name. That's 2 chords. And then I played it and it took off. Because it's something, why stay in neutral? Reverse is bad.
Huge.
Going forward's positive. Neutral is the worst. You're not getting better or worse. You're just sitting there. So I learned, I'm not getting any younger, boys. I turned 57 2 weeks ago, but I've never felt as good in my life as I do now. And I am no different from you and people watching this. Just get up and go.
Just go do it.
As they say, the journey of 1,000 miles begins with the first step. That's it.
Yep.
How do you restore your creative energy with all these projects?
Music. You're gonna laugh, man, but I'm telling you, I've got a wide range of music. I'll be listening to Chris Isaac, The Wicked Game, and you just listen to that and you're like, oh man, maybe I should write a story on that. And this guy's running after this, and then and you put the app down and it goes. And you listen to, There's a Tear in My Beer by Hank Jr. and you're like, oh man, what were they doing when they wrote that song? That was probably back in the 50s, and what was going on then? And so it just spears you into a way you don't know. And it takes you down this path that, boom, it's happening. And so you got experiences, you got results, and it's fabulous. So for me, it's music. And there's a lot of things in my life that have inspired me, but that music always brings you back to that moment that you really believe in yourself and what was going on, and you were powerful, man. And that music like that makes you feel really, really good. And there's a song by Simply Red, Holding Back the Years. Yep. And it's an 80s song, but that song was and I'm a huge Miami Vice. I love Miami Vice. Oh my God. But that song was at a moment in Miami Vice with Don Johnson and Melanie Griffith at a moment at the end of the show. And I'm like, God, what was I doing in April of 86? Well, I was about to graduate high school. Then I was going to go to junior college, play football. And then there you go, man. You're on this path. And then along that way, Here's just picking out creative ideas that you put in the notes app that you're going to write on today. Like the next story I'm going to write for mainstream media is, my thing is like the event last night. I do all these events. People ask, well, why do you go do all these events? And it's really simple. I do these events because one day they'll stop asking. They'll stop asking, right? I don't do it for money. They'll stop. I like spreading the story and telling people how great they are. And so last week on our show, we had Vince Gill. And Vince Gill is playing a benefit concert at the Nashville Palace. He was just with the Eagles at the Sphere. He's in town for like 4 days. And he's flying back to play with the Eagles the next weekend. And I said, Vince, we had him on a radio show. I said, why are you doing this on a Wednesday night when you're only home for 4 days? And this gave me chills. It was a massive God wink. Vince said, well, I do this because one day they're going to stop asking. Mm-hmm. And I looked at my co-host because he knew what I was writing. And once Vince went off there, I said, did you hear that? He's like, don't start. I was like, I'm going to start. I'm going to tell you. So everything comes together at some point. You just got to believe, man. You got to be genuine. You got to believe about it, and it happens. I am telling you, I am the example of believe, like you get anything done. You got to get going. You got to get off your ass and go. And once you do, man, you're not looking back, and it's a wonderful thing.
Just think, too, like society, we just focus on money and we focus on status. And really, Joe, that stuff doesn't really matter. I mean, it does. You got to put food on your table, but it doesn't get you out of bed in the morning. It doesn't move one foot in front of the other. This is such an important message for all of us. People working in sports are grinding right now, right? Yep. But I think a lot of people who are doing it, they love it. And so keep loving it. Keep going for it, right? You could work a corporate job and not like it. Just keep doing it. Keep going. So
that's the thing is if you work in sports and you know what you're getting into. If you want banker's hours, go work in a damn bank. It's that simple, right? But if you want to work in sports and you're working public relations, you're doing other things, keep doing it. Because you're doing something though. When you go to parties, they're not going to ask about the interest rate at the bank. They're not going to ask about the corporate ladder. Oh, hell yeah. I mean, how's Cam Ward? What's he like? I mean, hey, you work with Clark Lee? What's that like? Clark, I bet he's a good guy, isn't he, right? Were you on the field with Vanderbilt, Alabama? What was that like? Man, those are moments. Those are moments that paychecks aren't going to cover. Those are moments that are in your heart forever. So stick with that world. If that's what you want to be in, stick in that world. People ask me like, well, would you get back to being a sports anchor? I would if I could do it my way.
Exactly.
I know what to do now. If I could do it my way and have fun and be different and get back. Because at some point, you got to go back in your heart to why you got into it in the first place. And that's what I wanted. I wanted to be on sports. It was never about being on TV, which is the weird thing. And I just wanted to be in that environment. I want to be in that arena where it's like, man, this is really cool. What am I witnessing here? And that's the same with writing and doing other things that just keep going in what you're doing, whatever field you're in. As long as you're happy, stay in that field. And for me, I realized being in the corporate world wasn't for me. It was really, really bad. Sometimes you got to find out what's not right for you, but we find out what is right for you. So even though the times have changed, everything's changed with being in sports and media, still, there are games to be played. I think oftentimes we lose focus on those games. There are games to be played, and that's where we got into this whole world to start with.
As we get older and realize material things don't matter as much, and it's really relationship-based of the more meaningful interactions that we have in life. And I think you've done this intentionally. You mentioned earlier having friends in your life, people in your life that stepped up maybe when you least expected it. You talked about Chip. And I think it's important for our audience to understand, because I've been in a lot of those dark, paralyzing times where you don't get off the couch and you don't go out and feel the rays of the sun, and there's not a lot of hope. But the thing that really mattered the most was the friends that reached out and said, hey, let's go to this concert or let's grab lunch. And I think you're paying it forward right now. And I think it's on all of us to really find ways where we can help out other people, because we don't know what struggles they're going through. And I don't know. I'm assuming that's intentional.
No, you're right. And doing all this, I had a long talk with Mike Keith one day about, because he grew up here, and about what makes us happy. You know, Mike this is the time he's with the Titans and all that's going on. And at that time, Mike Keith was going out doing PA for BGA football games on Friday night, which I find incredible. And I think Mike is like a lot of us. I mean, you hit a moment like, oh man, this job today. And I asked Mike, I said, why do you do that? Why do you go out there? Because I had a feeling he might been in like a lot of things going on in his head. And he said, I needed to be grounded to what I loved. And what I loved was high school football. And I was like, man, you're right. He goes, I love going out there because that's where it was pure. That's where it started. It made me feel alive. It made me feel good. Talking to old friends, like you're talking about, Brandon, seeing people, just being in that environment. So when I was in my dark cloud, I had to get back to what I loved. I had a deep soul searching. The Lord said, all right, Joe, what do you love? Well, I love football, and I love high school football. That's why I go out and do high school football on Fox 17 on Friday nights, and I do it for free. I know it sounds crazy. I do it for free because I need to be around that. And Brandon, if I didn't do that, I'd sit on the couch. I'd be, all right, I want to do it, but I don't know what to do. So I called him. Say, hey, I'd like to do this on Friday. Yeah, we'd love to have you. I don't know how much we can pay you. I'll do it for free. I will do that for free because mentally I need to be around that. And I am telling you now, it's my third year. I am so looking forward to being there tonight and being around that environment and being just, it feels right. But the switch is, if I didn't do that, I'd be on that couch and wondering, and that's my goal, is to get you off the couch, is to get you realizing there's so much great out here that you need to be a part of it. And telling you all the time that our world's a better place because you are here. I truly, truly believe that. I would rather hear your story than go to your funeral. I know that sounds harsh. That's really difficult to understand. It's hard to say, but I'd rather hear your story. I'd rather hear you say, hey man, Friday night I went out and me and the friends did this and did that. Oh man, it feels good because they want you there. And then so tonight I'll go out and do that. But I had to be grounded to what I loved. I had to find that. To me, it's high school football. And it was really refreshing to hear Mike Keith say the same thing. Grounded to high school football in a way. And so you'll find those moments, but you just got to, once you get up and move that way, it starts to happen. Once you talk to somebody about your problems, it starts to happen and things change. You realize, man, there's so much greatness out there. But sometimes we lose the battle, man. And that's what I'm trying to get to. That person who's losing the battle and says, all right, 4th down, we got this. We're on the 2-yard line, and you'll do it. One of the best things I ever heard, and I'm a huge Jimmy Buffett fan. People are like, oh, you like all the Drake? You know? No. Some of his songs are powerful.
He's good.
Powerful.
Yeah.
And he does a thing one time. He talks about running with the football. He goes, we all like to run with the football, right? It feels good. I mean, you bust through the line, and you run, and you get in the end zone, and you score. It feels good. But they're coming for you. They build game plans around that to stop you. You'll get hit hard. You'll get hit 3 or 4 times. You might break a leg or a shoulder, get knocked out. They're going to come after you. He goes, but never forget what it feels like to run with the ball. And I was like, man, never forget what it feels like to score that touchdown. Theoretically, score the touchdown, right? You're carrying life, and you're making things happen, and you put a move on somebody, and you go, yeah, they're going to hit you, fine. But keep going, man. You're running with the football. And I'm like, that's the best description of life and anxiety and depression and things that are going on if you're a sports-minded person I've ever heard in my life. So run with the football, know you're going to get hit, but know you're going to score. And it feels so damn good to do that. Just know that. You got to realize that. And I love that. Love it.
I want to touch on something that came to mind as we talked about this on a podcast previously. It's the beginner's mindset. And it's just when you're talking about all these things, Mike Keith going back to do high school, he doesn't need to do that.
Right.
He's above. He doesn't need to do that. But that's his genuine love of doing so. It's just the beginner's mind of figuring out what that is for you and then going to do it. But we get so discombobulated by everything that's happening around us. And it's so important for us to hear that just use your beginner's mind, and it's going to make you a better person. It's going to make this world a better place.
Well, and that's the thing is immediately you tell somebody, that's why I don't tell anybody anything I'm doing. You're not going to make it. I have a thing where it says, don't announce moves, confirm arrivals.
Right.
When I get on Facebook and see somebody, hey, I'm leaving Facebook, I can't take it. Every time I put on their page, Facebook is not an airport. You don't have to announce your departure. You don't.
So right, though.
Just
Goodness
go.
gracious.
So don't tell everybody, well, today I'm going to go get milk. And then after I get milk, I'm going to buy some eggs. Then I'm going to come home and nobody gives a shit. Nobody gives a shit that you're doing that.
Right.
What I want to hear is, hey, look what I made. Fantastic.
Yeah.
I don't even know the pieces. Look what I've done today. That's great. And so so our default is always, well, you're not going to make it. You're not going to make it. My first assignment as an intern, I'll never forget at Channel 2, was to cook. This was in August of 96, was come to Vanderbilt and do an interview with Rod Dowhauer. And I'm with the reporter and a photographer, and I'm carrying the tripod. We're going to interview Rod Dowhauer, and the photographer says, hey, can you open my tripod for me? I didn't know how to open a tripod. I didn't know. I didn't know what to do. And so as a female photographer, she's like, here, give it to me. I'll do this, do that, pull this out. There you go. See, you can do that. How she approached me with that mindset changed everything. She could have been the biggest bitch and said,
she could have been.
Why are you here? Why are you here? And after we did the interview, I'll never forget, it was Rod Dowhauer. I will never forget that. And after we were done, she's like, hey, here's how you fold it up. And here, I want you to do it. And you pull it down and all this stuff. I was like, oh my God, thank you so much. I mean, thank you so much for telling me how to do that. And there's people who will help you along the way you had no idea exist. So the beginner's mindset would have been, Andy, I can't open a tripod. I'm not good for this. Had she been rude to me, I probably would have quit. Because I was already nervous. I'm like, I don't belong here. And so the beginner's mindset, don't tell people what you're doing. Just go do it.
Yeah.
And then show them like, hey, nobody knew I was writing a book. Nobody knew I was writing a book. After it's over, like, hey, I got a book. You wrote a book? Yeah. You really wrote a book? Yeah, here, dumbass. It's in my hands. Here, it's yours. Have it. Take it. And then it took off that way. So great. That's a great question because it all begins with the beginner. So don't let the negativity stop you. Just go. Hell, you know you're going to fail. That's fine. But if you fail pursuing your dream, chances are you're not going to fail. So the beginner's mindset should be all here. I'm going to get it done. I'll let you know when I'm done. I will tell you then. But right now, it's between me and God. Go and get it done.
Right.
So it's so vital that you have that good mindset.
Turning the page a little bit, you mentioned a story there of early beginnings working in news. You've lived this profession, local news. There's a lot of good people. You've been vocal about it on social media, leaving the news industry. Yep. Why is this happening?
Pay is terrible. Bosses don't give a rat's ass about you at all. Turn your story, go, take care, good job. Thank you. Come back tomorrow and do it. There's no good job. There's no pat on the back. There's no, you're doing well. There's no teaching going on. There's no value in what they're doing anymore. They're just turning out. You might as well be making a car every day. You're making a car and sending it down the line. Nobody cares. People realizing that all the working hours don't matter. But when you have a boss that doesn't give a rat's ass about you, it's even worse. So numbers are turning out. Corporate's taking over. And it's terrible. When you lose people like Amy Watson at Channel 5, Neil Orn at Channel, I wrote a story about Neil. I mean, Neil to me was the last. He'd been there 25 years. Everybody knew Neil, great dude, really positive impact on the community, and they ran him out? What are we doing? And then Channel 5's losing a couple of their morning anchors, gone. It's not the job we thought it was because they're not making it fun anymore. And I wrote when Neil and Bree Smith left Channel 5, you're talking tens of thousands of people were commenting and leaving messages. I'm like, here's why. And I wrote that about Bree Smith. I think it might have been my most shared story I've ever put on Facebook, which doesn't mean anything. It's in the long run. But I think I had a couple thousand people share that story. And they're like, what would you do, tough guy? I'm like, I'd make every reporter feel like they're the Walter Cronkite. I'd work with them. I'd pat them on the back. Told them, great. No difference than being a football coach. But I would go live at different events. I'd do live. You would not be in that. I don't want to see you. Only time I want to see you is on TV, doing something live out in the community, making things happen and doing that. So people are not being valued in television, and they're leaving left and right. I'll tell you this. We were doing high school football. We'd have 12 minutes on a Friday night, and we do 6 minutes, commercial break, 6 minutes, commercial break. But we had a consultant that came in, shocker, who didn't like high school football. Some giant nerd who never played football. Admitted he did not like high school football coverage on TV. Didn't like it. And I argued that's the biggest footprint of a TV station is your high school football coverage. Well, no, it's weather. No, they all do the same weather. I get the same map that they do, right? But high school football coverage, I don't get that imprint in the community. So he said, we're going to take away the 6 minutes, do more local stories, and you get the back 6 minutes. I said, all right. So I'll never forget, I'm sitting there with Justin Beasley on a Friday night. I don't remember where Chris was. And I want to see the story. I kid you not. The story that they aired on a Friday night before high school football was a story about a turtle who got loose at an elementary school in New Jersey. I was livid. I immediately go to my computer. Every highlight I had, I put in something to do with the turtle in New Jersey. So every story I did. So I went and I was like, hey, let's go out tonight. CPA here on Innsworth. I said, this might not be exciting as a turtle in elementary school in New Jersey, but it wasn't bad. So I did that. The whole sportscast. So I went to the weekend. I used the turtle in New Jersey all weekend long.
It's just awesome.
Nobody said a word to me. I just kept doing it. I was like, this is ridiculous. Here we are all over Middle Tennessee in your backyard, and you take our time, and one of the stories is the turtle missing in New Jersey. So my boss got really mad. She came a week later, got mad at me, whatever. And she said, I'll be watching you. I'll be watching, you got to fight for your sportscast time. You got to fight for your time. I said, all right. I usually get 3 to 4 minutes at 10 o'clock. So about 8 o'clock that night, I went to a different rundown and put a whole show in, but nobody could see the show. In the main rundown, the producer comes to me at 8 o'clock and says, hey, you don't have anything in. I got 4 minutes to fill. I'm like, Kirby, I don't feel like doing sport. I don't feel like fighting for my time. She's like, what do you mean? I got 4 minutes. I'm like, I don't have it in me to fight tonight. I'm sorry. I'm not fighting. She's like, well, I got 4. I said, exactly. Stop screwing with me. I got it there, but don't mess with me. I know what I'm doing. And so my boss had said, well, I'm gonna keep an eye on you every sportscast and da-da-da. I kid you not, and it's too late to find on my phone. I wore the same suit for 33 days on air as a sportscaster. This is not a lie. It was my bright blue shirt with the pink tie and the pink hanker and the pocket square. For 33 days, I wore the same jacket, tie, and shirt. And the only reason it was found out during a morning meeting, one of the producers says, Joe, do you have any other ties? And she was in the meeting and found out and got so mad that I was making fun of her. She got fired like 6 weeks later. But that's it. Like that's what we dealt with the news. Leave us alone. Let us tell stories. Let us tell positive stories that impact the community. And they weren't doing that. And I just got so frustrated. So do you tell me you're watching my sportscast and I wore the same suit for 33 days and you never noticed? Get the hell out of here with that nonsense.
I think, too, it's like there's two things. One, I think you guys in sports, local sports news, make so many connections across the air in your local area. You're meeting football coaches and basketball coaches and star players and managers of, I don't know who, fans of high school teams. And, like, those are not capitalized on. Like, I don't know, a 2-minute sportscast every night doesn't take advantage of the expertise that you guys have. It's basically a wasted resource.
It is. Yeah.
To me. And then another thing, too, we talked about story arcs before, and, people in news and people in media, they chase those things. People in Hollywood, that's their livelihood. That's what they chase. And when you take that away, which is what's happening with these corporate behemoths, it just ruins local sports and local news. It drives me nuts, man. Well, it really does.
You're exactly right. And that's why I argued, like, let us go out and tell stories. You can add your anchor time. I don't want that. Let me tell stories. It's funny is that 2 of the 3 Emmys that I won were for my stick figure sportscast. When I couldn't show highlights, I did stick figure drawings, and it won 2 Emmy Awards. I mean, it was
incredible.
So bizarre. It got nominated 9 times.
That's
and
incredible.
I won twice. Be different. Be out of the box. Just show me highlights. I can see Nashville SC score on my phone. Hey, they scored a soccer. Okay, I'm done. But give me the time that you have on television. Tell me something I didn't know. We're always in the toy box.
Yeah.
So when I turn on local sports now, it's like, hey, tonight Belmont took on whoever in this game, and Belmont 3 buckets. I don't care. I got on my phone. I got on my phone.
It's just a wasted
or do it away where I'm
opportunity.
excited about it.
It's wasted. It just drives me crazy.
Why has the model not evolved? We still have the giant ass desk. We've got the stale anchor type person that's just reading the news. It's kind of like Anchorman, right? I'm just reading the news. I'm reading the news. And the times have changed, and maybe I'm not the target demo for the local newscast. I'm probably not. I'm getting close to an age now, though.
Yeah, we're getting close, Mark.
Watch out now.
Yeah, we're getting close.
But why is it not evolving?
Because there's no creativity. Because you just go in and do what you're told, and that's it, and you're done. There's no creativity involved. And there's a lot of people in this town, they're not creative. I haven't watched a sportscast. And for Jill Jelnick at Fox 17 did a thing. She did a sportscast one time dressed up as a hockey goalie because she couldn't show hockey highlights. And I thought that was way to go.
That's hilarious.
It's
That's
just
awesome.
different. You took the advantage and did something completely different. And she takes chances like that, which are great. Nobody else does because they're so constricted in this one way, and that's the only way they're going to do it, and afraid to get yelled at. I mean, and it's all going to be the same, Brandon. Nobody's willing to fight the status quo. Nobody is, because they're afraid it's going to happen. Unless you go on the air and drop F-bombs or say something stupid racist, you're not getting fired. You're not getting. Well, I did I did a live shot during Halloween. I dressed as Bob Ross, and I had an easel, and I had the hair and a flannel shirt, and he said, "You better not do that at 10." And I said, "What if I do?" This was the news director. Yeah. Didn't respond back to me. So what did I do at 10 o'clock? I'm Bob Ross.
You did Bob Ross, yeah.
You know what he said to me? Nothing.
Yeah.
Because I called his ass out.
Yeah.
And not a very I'm going to fight the power way. People respond to that. I mean, Rudy Kalis was dying over that outfit. He's like, and like Rudy told me about his sweatshirts. They all told him, stop wearing sweatshirts. What did Rudy do?
Kept wearing
sweatshirts, right?
Yep.
I mean, so keep doing what you believe in. I mean, these people are gone in a couple of years. And Brandon, you asked like people are leaving. There's no tie to Nashville. They don't have any roots here. And nobody's making them welcome. They don't get out and do things in the community. Right. And they just go. I mean, there are some sports people in this town that have never been to Murfreesboro, to MTSU. I'm not kidding you. Who've never been to MTSU. Barely been to Knoxville. That's what it is. There were sports people. There's sports stations in the country, and I'll go from the west. There was San Diego, Phoenix, Vegas, El Paso, Oklahoma City, St. Louis, Tampa, West Palm, Atlanta, Detroit, who've all got rid of sports departments because they're lazy. Let's see what the NBA is doing tonight. I never once ran a single NBA highlight unless it had a Vanderbilt, Tennessee, or MTSU tie-in.
Yep.
Major League Baseball, same way. I would not show a baseball game unless it was Mookie Betts or Sonny Gray or one of the Vandy boys doing something that we knew that had a connection to us. And people like that. Otherwise, I'm not doing that nonsense. And it's not that hard to do that. So it all goes back to being lazy, not getting off the couch, not getting out of the sports department and going. I mean, it's all how you approach and do things in life, but it all starts by getting off your ass. It's that simple.
I mean, we're in 2025 right now. The evidence is out there in content creators that's being done. You've got to bring being fun and authentic and original, having an actual personality to these broadcasts. Instead, I know you have a bid on this, so I'm going to poke you a little bit.
Sure.
Instead, we're getting the same corporate news station PSA promos. It's like, we're one big family here at Channel 4. And none of it is authentic.
Zero. I did a video on that about the fake coverage. It's like Channel 5 had something like, we care about your story. And it shows the weather lady out in the community hugging people, talking to people. It's like, my day's made better when I know you. No, it's not. No, it's all. No, it's not. It's not made better. No, don't
Yeah.
tell me that stuff, right? I get you might care about the community, but it comes across as non-caring. And so, yeah, I did that little video, which got tens of thousands of views, which was crazy, about what a true news department is that we truly don't give a damn. We're going to tell our story. We'll help you out a little bit, but this fake, we like you, we love you kind of thing, promos, like we're all doing it together. It's like, no, I've been to those promo meetings. I've sat in those morning meetings. They don't. Are you going to make your slot today at 5 o'clock? You're going to cover your 3 minutes? All right, that's all we need to know. And that's what it is. So it's all, and that's a problem too, Brandon. It's all non-genuine. And we're all smart to realize that it's stupid and it's not going anywhere. I don't know why they do that. And Channel 5 is the worst.
Yeah. Even the new NBC National News anchor, and I don't want to put this on him. He does a good job, but it was like, okay, I'm taking over this slot. I'm sure corporate was like, we got to have one of those dramatic taglines to close off every broadcast. And his is tonight and every night. We are here for you. And I'm like, are you? It's like, you're going to make me dinner or pick up my dry cleaning that's been sitting there for 4 weeks that I've forgotten about.
Oh, I love that. Oh, I do.
You know, I mean, there are meetings, I guess, you've been on the inside where people are sitting down talking about these things, pitching these things.
Yeah. One of my favorite ones was, it was during Trump's first term. He had an interview. David Muir had an interview with him. David Muir's thing was like, America's talking and I'm listening. And during the interview, Trump, in the middle of that, Trump's like, I don't even know who you are. It made me laugh because it was so raw and unexpected. Yeah. He's asking a question. Trump's like, I don't even know who you are. I was like, that's it. We do all these great taglines and dramatic moments, and they lean in. Nobody cares. Yeah. That stuff went out a long time ago, man. It means nothing. You know, so I don't know. That's part of the news problem is that it doesn't feel real. It really doesn't, you know. And I give it, like Nick Barris and I, we're really good friends, and I give it to him all the time. But Nick does a lot of things in the community of animal awareness and stories that are going on that we need to know about that you won't see on the news because they won't let him post that stuff. And so I was like, I understand, and he's not going to talk bad about his company, but I'm thinking if you ran those stories, we might watch more because they're impactful. You know, at the shelter or what's going on, or B stories. I mean, they might be like, all right, how can we help? How can the community help instead of, you know, we're all one big family and you're not telling me how we can help or what story you're talking about. It's really sad.
It is sad. I mean, it's sad for our whole community because, like I said, you guys are experts and it doesn't enter into my ecosystem. It's not into my media stream.
Right.
And it's just not. But it may be if you said, hey, these are the top 5 high school players in football right now that are getting recruited. I don't follow high school football, but it'd be kind of cool to know that you've been out traveling around and you've figured out who these people are. Hey, this coach has been here for 35 years. He runs this crazy offense. He's very successful. Where are those stories? Those should be everywhere. And then you make connection. I think that's the thing that drives me the most crazy about local sports and local news is this is such an opportunity to make connections with people, and you don't do it. You just read some script some 22-year-old wrote. No offense to the 22-year-old. They're just trying to make it. But they're taking the AP story from Turtles from New Jersey. I mean, shit. Nobody cares about that. I would rather hear something locally, right?
Exactly.
It's just such a huge opportunity that just gets shit on. It just drives me nuts.
Well, that's like tonight when I go out, I'll do highlights after the game, and if a kid's committed to Virginia Military or Sanford or Oklahoma, like, hey, Andy Block's tonight, you know, he's a commitment for the Air Force Academy, and just give him a little extra context on this person besides being so-and-so of maybe mindless, of a mindless, nameless person.
Well, I guess we should probably let you go, man. This has been incredible, and we're so happy that you gave us some of your time today, and I miss seeing you out there. We had some good moments around Vanderbilt, and
I remember we used to watch Stallings walk down the stairs like he's playing Tetris coming down for interviews.
Yeah. So funny, man. Oh, man.
Oh, those were good days. God, they were good days.
Yeah. So, but anyway, dude, keep fighting the good fight, man. We're so happy for you and your journey, and you know we're watching, and you know if there's anything, I know there's nothing we can do for you, but if there's anything that we can, let us know.
Yeah, I just appreciate just tell people that they're loved, man. And I know you guys mean it. I know you're genuine, so that's not a problem. But that's the thing, man. And my fourth book was called We All Walk Together. And it was just inspirational stories that I was told from people on this journey together. And so we all walk together. We're all going the same direction, right? So we all walk together. So just keep doing it. I appreciate it, boys. Any chance I can spread the message, how good God is and how great you are and we are is welcome. So thank you.
Yeah, and I want to close with one thing. There are two legends that went to McGavick High School here locally. Big Joe Dubin and The Rock, Dwayne Johnson. Who's getting the statue out front first?
Well, he only went there, Brandon, for 6 weeks, so we're still calling him an alumni, which is fine. Doesn't matter. You don't have to get a diploma to graduate. Just the fact that he walked those halls for 6 weeks to do that. So I might let him do it by default. So The Rock, every time I see that, I always think about, man, he walked and played football in McGavick too. So it's like, he knows. McGavick produces nothing but winners. And that's a fine example.
Yeah.
Did he ever respond to you on social media?
Not one time. Never. Son of a bitch.
Hey, if we learned anything today, don't give up. Follow your dreams.
Yes. Try it. I'm going to text him now.
Time to wrap it up.
And that's another edition of No Longer Credentialed. Thanks to all of you listening, and if you like it, tell a friend and give it a 5-star rating on your podcast app of choice. Don't forget to check us out on social media at NLC Pod on X, Instagram, TikTok, LinkedIn, and YouTube. We'd love to hear from you. Until next week, keep grinding.